So question 6 gets into solving equations. So we have 4 to the negative x equals 64. So this is called an exponential equation because the variable is now an exponent. Let me quit this here. So if I have 4 to the negative x equals 64, one of the strategies is, can the bases be made the same? So notice how this base is a 4. Can I write 64 to have a base of some value? So can 4 to some power give me 64? So if I use my calculator, I can go like, and I type in 4 to the x, and this can make me a quick table where I'm going to be putting that exponents in for x. So if I go to the table now, whoops, let's make this other one go away. Clear that one. All right, that looks good. So if I go to the table, so that means 4 to the 0 would have been 1. 4 to the 0 would have been 1. 4 to the power 1 would be 4. 4 to the power 2 would be 16. 4 to the power 3 would be 64. So notice how the 64 would be the same thing as 4 to the third equals 64. So what I can do is rewrite 64 as 4 to the third. That means I can rewrite the problem so the bases are the same. So this becomes then 4 to the negative x. I'm going to change the 64 to 4 cubed because 4 cubed is 64. By doing so, the only way this can be true is if the bases are the same, then the exponents have to be equal. So the opposite of x has to equal 3. So what can you pick for x that's going to make a 3? Remember, a negative is also the same thing as a negative 1. So if you wanted to, you can divide or multiply both sides by negative 1, and that would get the x by itself. So x equals then 3 divided by negative 1 be negative 3. So notice that the opposite of a negative 3 would be a 3. So that should work for us. So negative 3 would be the solution. Now, another thing you could do is, if you wanted to, you could try to write this as y equals, set this to 0. I can write this as 4 to the negative x. And if I bring the 64 over, I can write this as minus 64. Then you could maybe try to find the zeros to this problem. So if I hit y equals, if I type in 4 to the negative x minus 64 and hit graph, notice that you have to pick up on that this graph moved down 64. So my window has to be down past negative 64. So if I change my y max to be like a negative 60, maybe like a negative 70, go a little bit past 64. If I do that, I need to make my y scale go by, maybe go by tens. Then I'll go back to the graph. Got something going on there. So go window. So window again. Next 10, let's go. My y, I did that backwards. My y min should be negative 70. And my y max should still just be a 10. And then my scale will be 10. So I got to pay attention. I want my lowest value to be a negative 70. So if I hit graph now, notice how I can see my graph a little better. Notice that the 0 is up here. Notice that the 0 is actually negative 3, and that's what we kind of picked up on. Remember, you also go to calculate. If I want to find zeros, a 0 is the same thing as solving for x. So if you go to the left bound, so you have to be kind of left of that, hit enter. Go to the right of that, hit enter a third time. And also, it does take you to negative 3. So you can also find zeros of this, and it would give you the solution. It's probably easier to just do it algebraically.